My dad humiliated me at Father's Day dinner, saying I was a disgrace. Everyone laughed. So I put an envelope on the table, wished him a happy Father's Day, and walked out. Minutes later, he opened the envelope and screamed. It was too late. I'd already taken back the $1 million gift he loved to show off. I spent about 3 days staring at that family group chat message without replying. No, I'll check it out. No thumbs up emoji. Nothing. It wasn't just laziness or lack of time. It was fear. Fear of falling into the same trap as always. The one that starts with, "come just a little," and ends with me leaving with my head down, swallowing humiliation. But, I guess part of me still had hope. Hope that this time he'd look at me with respect, that he'd recognize everything I'd done, that he'd call me son without any disappointment in his voice. Yeah, that was wishful thinking. I got there around 2 p.m., my sister's place. That makeshift barbecue grill out back, kids running around, loud music, those cheesy BBQ playlists with old-school pagode and college country tunes. The smell of burning meat hit my nose before I even rang the doorbell. I walked straight in. The front gate was just ajar. Typical Sunday scene. He was there, sitting at the head of the table like the patriarch of some empire he'd ruined himself. Wine glass in hand, sunglasses resting on his forehead, dress shirt half unbuttoned at the chest. Everyone around him, laughing, listening to yet another story about how he saved someone from some mess back in the day. When he saw me, he made sure to say it loud. "Look who it is! The prodigal son shows up. I thought I'd have to get a gift delivered this year." Everyone laughed, except me. I sat there quietly. My sister came over and whispered "thanks for coming," with that look like she knew it was a sacrifice for me. I grabbed a soda, took a deep breath, and tried to focus on the food. At least that was still good. My sister-in-law always nailed the seasoning. Slowly, the jokes started. The same old routine. First, my dad went on about that time I tried to fix an outlet and almost burned the apartment down. He's always been kinda, how do I put it? Slow, he said, laughing like he was being nice. Some people are born with a knack for business. Others, well, they're just born to mess up. I forced a weak smile. Didn't say a word. I learned long ago that arguing just gives him more ammo. Then he started poking fun at my past like it was a comedy show. Remembered when I worked as a delivery driver and came home crying after I got robbed. "Can you believe it? A grown man that size crying over a phone," he said, banging the table and laughing his head off. "And the nerve to ask for money after. What a shame, God." My cousin choked on his laugh. My uncle muttered a quiet "damn" and took a sip of beer. And me? I just wanted to disappear, swear to God. Felt like I was 12 again, being called useless for getting a 7 in math. That same helpless, ashamed feeling of wanting to vanish. Then, out of nowhere, the last straw came. Nobody expected it. Not even me. He had his fork in hand, staring straight at me, like he'd been holding that comment back just to drop it at the perfect moment. But I'll be real here, in front of everyone. Out of all my kids, this one's been the biggest disappointment. By far. Always been a shame. Never made me proud. Pause. Complete silence. The table froze. My mom looked down at her plate. My sister went pale. One of my nephews even stopped scrolling his phone. It was like the whole world held its breath for a few seconds. And me? I said nothing. Just breathed. Once. Twice. Lowered my eyes. My stomach churned. My throat dried up. There was nothing to say. If I opened my mouth right then, I'd cry. And he'd love that. Use it against me later, like he always did. I stayed quiet. But inside, something had already been decided. I finished eating without really touching the food, got up slowly. No one understood what I was doing. Walked over to my backpack, leaned against the corner of the living room, and grabbed the white envelope. It had been there since the day before. I'd prepared it carefully. Already knew I might need it. Just didn't know it would hurt this much to use. I went back to the table, set the envelope right in the middle, between the meat platter and the Coke bottle. "Happy Father's Day," I said, quiet but firm. Everyone looked at me. He looked at me. "What's this?" he asked, snatching the envelope with disdain. "Open it," I said, already turning my back. "Ooh, is this trouble coming?" Someone joked. But I wasn't there anymore. Crossing the room, I heard voices behind me, nervous giggles, people whispering, the sound of paper tearing, then silence. Seconds later, the scream came. "What?" he yelled. It was so loud it echoed through the whole house. Seriously, I was almost at the gate when I heard him slam the table, stand up, shout again. "Is this a joke? What the hell is this?" But it was already too late. Inside the envelope was a copy of the deed cancellation for the house he loved to show off. The same house he told his friends he'd bought outright, with the sweat of his own labor. Lies. I was the one who bought it. Put everything in my name and gifted it quietly last year, without telling a soul. I did it because I thought maybe a gesture that big would change something. Maybe he'd see me differently. See that despite everything, I still wanted to be part of that. But it didn't change. And now, it was mine again. I made sure everything was documented, signed and legal. And he knew it. He just didn't think I'd have the guts to take it back. But I did. And I'd do it again if I had to. I got in the car, started the engine, didn't look back. At the last turn before disappearing down the street, I glanced in the rear view and saw a group of people at the house's door. My dad in the middle, yelling with the papers in his hand. My sister trying to hold him back. A cousin filming with his phone. And me driving away, feeling a mix of pain and relief I can't even explain. All I know is that, in that moment, something inside me broke, or maybe finally got free. And that's when everything started to change. It's funny how people think life just changes overnight, right? Like magic. Like suddenly you wake up rich, settled, free. But nobody sees the nights spent tossing and turning, the days without money to eat right, the messages read and ignored when you asked for help. Nobody sees the effort happening in silence. What no one at that table knew, not my mom, not my sister, and definitely not him, was that the gift I gave and then took back was everything I had. Literally. It wasn't leftover cash or easy profit. It was sweat. It was sacrifice. The apartment I sold early last year to buy that house in his name, that was my only asset, my safety net. But I wanted to turn it into a gesture. I don't know, a fresh start. I thought that by giving something that big, he'd finally look at me with at least a little admiration. Say, "Wow, my son made it." But no, I didn't even get a thank you. When the keys landed in his hand, he just smiled, joked around, and told everyone, "It's mine now." He posted a picture of the house's front on the family chat with the caption, "Another dream fulfilled." Didn't even mention me. Pretended it was all his hard work. And worse, he started using that against me. You should learn from me. Look at what I achieved at 50. Achieved, huh? Little did he know those achievements came from my nights up building an online store, making deliveries at crazy hours, selling stuff on Instagram, embarrassed to tell friends I was living off drop shipping and random freelance gigs, while he slept on the fancy mattress I paid for. But yeah, outsiders only see the pretty post. The rest stays behind the scenes. I was never the golden child. My brothers followed the script. College, internship, married, kids. I was the one who dropped out of engineering halfway through, who lived in a tiny 12-square-meter room, sold gourmet sweets at traffic lights, and pretended everything was fine. The oddball of the family. But it was in that limbo that I found myself. When everyone turned their backs, I turned to me. Started studying alone. Lived with my laptop on my lap, watching YouTube videos about marketing, paid ads, e-commerce, AI. At first, it was just confusing, but I kept at it. Created a channel, launched a digital product, spent 300 rees on ads, and made 70. Failure? Totally. But I kept going. Started understanding numbers, testing strategies, doing midnight live streams with no viewers. Until one day it went viral. 10,000 in one weekend, 30 the next month. I remember sitting on the floor of that tiny apartment, crying my eyes out. Because it was the first time I got something big without depending on anyone. And because I knew I couldn't tell him. He'd doubt it, undermine it, laugh. And that's when I decided to do it all quietly. Grow in silence. I bought a used car and parked it in the building's garage, didn't even take a picture. Invested in the business and put everything in my name until the house came. That house. The same one months later he'd tell the neighbors he bought with severance money. And I let him believe it. Let him puff out his chest. because deep down I wanted to see him happy, even if he didn't deserve it. It was my sister who gave me the idea, without knowing. We were on the phone, close to last Father's Day, and she said, "I wish Dad would move somewhere better. That apartment's like an oven. He's always complaining about the heat, the leaks. But he won't leave." And then it hit me. I had the money. I had the power to make it happen. Maybe, just maybe, if I made a move like that, he'd see me differently. A desperate try for some affection, you know? I went to the realtor, saw the house, closed the deal in a week. Did everything without telling a soul. Transferred it straight to his name, thinking that was noble. The right thing to do. Sent the keys in an envelope with just a note. "So you can truly feel at home. Happy Father's Day." He didn't care, didn't thank me. Just sent a photo of the front to the group with the caption, "Finally out of renting." That was it. The next month, he started bragging. Bought a new beer fridge, put a plastic pool in the garage, threw a party the next Saturday with the bar crowd. And when someone asked where the money came from, he laughed and said, "My son didn't inherit my financial smarts." The anger I felt was dry, not explosive, silent. A poison eating away bit by bit. But I still waited. Still believed he'd change at some point. Regret it. Look at me with respect. Spoiler alert, it never happened. There was one time, about 2 weeks before that dinner, he called just to say he had the gourmet area redone. Said he was buying a brick barbecue. Laughed. Said, "Now the king's on the throne." And there I was, listening on the phone, standing in the middle of the street, coming back from the market with 2 bags because I still lived in a 40 miniature rented apartment and was trying to cut expenses to invest more in my business. He had no clue. Never knew. Never asked. To him, I was a lucky failure. And even then, I didn't cut the cord, because a part of me still dreamed of being seen, recognized. Illusion again. Until that damn dinner. And everything crashed down. You're probably wondering, why the hell didn't you ever tell anyone the house was yours? That you bought it? That it was a gift? Simple. Shame. Shame for giving so much to someone who never truly gave me anything. Because if I told, it'd sound like I wanted applause. Like I did it expecting pats on the back. And the truth is, yeah, I did want something. Recognition. A thanks, son. I'm proud of you. But when none of that came, I shut up. Felt stupid. Like a sucker. But there comes a point when even the dumbest person wakes up, right? That dinner was the tipping point. When he said in front of everyone that I was a disgrace, everything inside me made sense. And right there, in that moment, I decided I wouldn't support any more lies. Not him, not his fake pride. And if he liked looking victorious so much, he'd have to find a new story. Because the one he lived by ended the moment he tore that envelope. And that was just the beginning. My dad always had that tough guy vibe. As far back as I can remember, he liked to make it clear he was the man of the house. No hugs, no affection, no, "I'm proud of you." Just rules, pressure, getting scolded for anything. I remember as a kid showing him a drawing I made at school, all happy, thinking he'd like it. He looked at it, went, and said, "Why don't you draw something decent? That looks like a 2-year-old's scribble." I was probably around 7. From that moment, I got it. Anything that wasn't useful or impressive was a waste of time. Feelings, nonsense, emotion, for weak people. And if I cried, man, that was definitely punishment. You crying over that? Want a reason to cry for real? Then came the belt. But if someone from outside asked, he was the perfect dad. Hardworking, strict, raised us right. My mom backed it up even in silence. She saw it but didn't intervene. She was scared of him too. Everyone was. Growing up like that teaches you to hide who you really are. It teaches you that if you want to survive, you have to shut up, swallow it, endure. And that's exactly what I did. At school, I wasn't a genius. But I wasn't dumb either, just a regular kid. But that was unacceptable to him. When I got a 7, he asked why it wasn't a 10. When I got a 10, he said, "That's your duty." When I scored less than 6, he made me study as punishment, in the bathroom, because he said, "That's the place for screw-ups." No exaggeration. I was reading textbooks sitting on the toilet, lights off. He thought it was funny. You'll learn through your ass since you won't through your head. My birthdays? Never about me. They were about him. If I wanted a simple cake with 2 friends, he made sure to invite the whole street, throw a barbecue, crank up the music. You gotta show you've got it, he'd say. And at the end, he'd forget to sing happy birthday to me. Once, when I was about 12, I fell playing soccer and broke my arm. Came home hurting, dirty, crying. He looked at me and said, "If you were a man, you wouldn't be crying. Go wash your face before heading to the hospital." I went alone. My sister took me. He didn't show up. And even though it hurt, I tried to justify it. That's just how he is, I thought. He loves me. He just doesn't know how to show it. But over time, you get tired of making excuses for what's unforgivable. That phrase became the soundtrack of my teenage years. You'll never be anything. That's what he repeated every time I messed up. When I flunked math in first year, dropped out of prep school, tried guitar and gave up, sold my video game to buy a used camera to try being a YouTuber. You live in illusion. You weren't born to win. You don't have what it takes. And the worst? I believed it. Believed it for a long time. Believed it when I sent out resumes and got no replies. When I tried selling on the marketplace and no one bought. When I posted videos with 9 views. Every failure echoed his voice in my head. You'll never be anything. And then, scared of failing, I stopped trying. I froze. Sabotaged myself. Until one day, the pain of staying the same was bigger than the fear of change. At 19, I ran away from home. Not with a packed bag and slammed door. Quietly. Disguised as, I want to live closer to college, when really, I just wanted to breathe. Just wanted to wake up somewhere I didn't have to walk on eggshells, waiting for the next attack. I rented a tiny room in a far-off neighborhood, shared a bathroom with 3 strangers, had to heat food in an old microwave in the hall, and my mattress was borrowed. But man, it was peace. For the first time in my life, I could leave my towel anywhere, listen to music without someone complaining, sleep without fear of yelling in the middle of the night. But of course, peace came with a price. Tight money, loneliness, struggle. Some months I ate instant noodles with flour because that's all I had. But still, better than living in that emotional prison that was his house. And even so, I felt guilty. Guilty for leaving, for abandoning my mom, for not being strong enough to endure. But today, I see leaving was the first act of self-love in my life. After I left, I went almost 2 years without going back. No Christmas, no birthdays, no Sunday lunches. Sometimes my sister would call, say Mom missed me, say it was just a quick visit, no one would judge. But I knew the first chance he'd attack me. And I didn't want to give him that satisfaction. But the silence got heavy. It hurt not to see my mom. Hurt pretending I didn't care. So slowly, I started coming back. 1 visit a month, then every 2 weeks. Until I became just a background character again at family gatherings. But he never changed. He could go a month without seeing me. First thing out of his mouth was always criticism. You've gotten fat. You look like you're unemployed. Where'd you get those clothes? The thrift store. And still I went. Out of stubbornness, neediness, some stupid hope. I don't know. All I know is I went. And every time I came back a little emptier. Until Father's Day. That dinner was the final scene of the movie I insisted on watching even after knowing the ending. And now it's him who's watching. Front row. I remember that night perfectly. The night everything changed. No background music, no divine sign, no white light shining through the window. Just me, sitting on the kitchen floor, holding a cold meal container and the overdue electricity bill in my hand. Money was gone. Literally. I had about 47 rays in the bank and nothing else. No credit card, no overdraft, no hope. Just an exhaustion that felt like it didn't fit in my body. Then, out of nowhere, I heard his voice in my head. That damn phrase. You'll never be anything. Man, that hit me in a way I can't even explain. It was like he was right there behind me, staring with that look of contempt. But that day, something inside me clicked. It was like, okay, now I'm gonna show you. I got up, grabbed my old laptop, hooked onto the neighbor's stolen Wi-Fi, and started typing how to make money online. Ridiculous, right? Desperate stuff. And I was desperate. But that's where I stumbled on a video that changed my mindset. Some guy explaining affiliate marketing, digital products, ads, paid traffic. I didn't get any of it, but I saved the video. Over the next few days, I watched everything I could find on the topic. It became an obsession. While people slept, I was learning to build sales pages. While my friends partied, I was testing Facebook ads with 10 Riez credit. And with every small win, I felt something I'd never felt before. Control. It was like, for the first time, I was in the driver's seat of my own life. From there on, I promised myself, I'll never let anyone call me a disgrace again. Never. Outsiders think success looks good. Glamorous. You wake up early, do yoga, drink green smoothies, and make money while you sleep. Bullshit. The beginning is rotten. It's dirty. It's lonely as hell. There were nights I stayed up all night. Instant coffee, headaches, laptop screen glued to my face. I messed up so many times. Paid for scam courses, advertised products nobody wanted, got scammed, got banned from ad accounts, lost campaigns that cost me the last of my money that month. And still, I kept going. Because there was no other way. It was this or crawl back home with my tail between my legs. And that option was dead to me. I created a YouTube channel nobody watched. Then a TikTok that grew 20K followers in 2 weeks. Started selling an ebook on productivity I wrote in 3 nights. At first, 1 sale a day. Then 3. When I hit 10 a day, I cried. Literally. With the first big paycheck, about 17K raise net in 1 week, I remember sitting on the living room floor, hugging my knees, silent for about 40 minutes. Because for the first time, I'd earned that without depending on anyone. And that's when I started drawing the plan. It wasn't just about getting rich. It was about proving something. Not to the world. To my dad. When the game finally turned, everything happened fast. I found a niche no one had really tapped into yet. People wanting to quit their 9-to-5 but not knowing how to start. And since I'd been exactly that person months before, I could speak straight to the audience. It was all very real. I recorded a course, built a sales funnel, launched an online community, invested in ads like my life depended on it. And in a way, it really did. There were months when revenue hit 200K. I was still living in that same simple apartment, using the same broken phone, wearing the same faded shirt, but my bank account was full. And I never bragged. Didn't buy a car, didn't post Rolex pics, didn't travel to Dubai, stayed quiet, silent, just saving, growing, watching, because I knew the day would come, the day I'd make him swallow every word. And when I decided to buy the house, it felt like closing a chapter. The house hit me like a punch in the emotional gut. Not because of the price, which was high, yeah, but because of what it meant. Every brick was my attempt to be accepted. Every room, a reminder of what I never had. When I went to sign the deed, the realtor asked, "Will it be in your name or are you transferring it?" I hesitated a few seconds, then said, "His name." He frowned like, "Are you sure?" And I was. Because at that moment, I still believed a gesture like that could change something. The day I handed over the keys, my sister cried. My mom hugged the paperwork like it was gold. And him? He just laughed and said, "That's the least you could do after everything I gave you." I swallowed hard. No pictures together. No beers to toast. Just his old pride swelling like a balloon about to pop. And still, I stayed silent. A few days after he moved into the new house, I was scrolling through photos on my phone. The empty living room, the shiny new kitchen, the automatic gate. It was all so beautiful. And at the same time, so bitter. I had given everything. And still, I felt smaller than ever. It was like the more I gave, the less I existed. Like I only mattered as long as I was useful. As long as I was footing the bill. As long as I didn't cause trouble. That's when it hit me. I didn't need his validation. Never did. What I wanted was something he simply didn't know how to give. And that's why, deep down, that house was never a gift for him. It was a test. And he failed. Loudly. And the scream he let out when he opened that envelope at dinner was just the final confirmation. Because at that moment, he wasn't screaming about the house. He was screaming because, for the first time, he lost control. Inside that envelope were only 2 sheets of paper. But man, what 2 sheets? The first was the formal notification of revoking the house gift. I started the process about 2 months before, when I felt the cup was overflowing. It was hard, no lie. I spent nights doubting, rereading, thinking if I'd regret it later. But I didn't. Not one bit. The second sheet was a note, handwritten. My shaky handwriting, angry, with a blue pen smudged because I was sweating while writing. It said only this: "Don't worry, Dad, you're not losing a house, it's a house getting rid of you." Simple, straight. No frills, no fluff. Because by then, I'd stopped wanting to be understood. I wanted to be heard. And that's exactly what he heard when he read it. And then he screamed. Screamed like he'd lost the ground beneath his feet. Screamed like suddenly the world didn't revolve around him anymore. The scream was so loud it sounded like glass breaking. It was the kind of scream that silenced everything around. The barbecue went out. The laughter evaporated. Even the speaker stopped mid-pagode beat. And for a few seconds, all you could hear was him. "This is a joke. This kid is making a fool of me. Who does he think he is?" My sister tried to calm him down. My mom sat down, pale, hand on her chest, and my cousin stood in that classic should I help or pretend I'm not here stance. And of course, some people were already pulling out their phones to record, because humans live for drama. He tore the note in half, slammed the table, knocked over a glass, and started pacing around the house like a caged animal. You could hear him kicking things, snorting, shouting loud, "Is this legal? Can he do that? Is he going to throw me out?" And here comes the most ironic part. The house was still his. Legally, he could stay there a while longer. What I did was just take back the gift. The name went back to me. But I wasn't a jerk. Didn't file eviction, didn't serve notice. Just took the candy from the mouth of someone who's never been hungry. And seeing him taste his own poison, man, priceless. While everyone else was scrambling trying to figure out what was happening, I was already gone. Gone for real. Like out of the neighborhood, already on the highway, blasting the radio just to drown out the noise in my head. I didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't smile. I just felt empty. It was like my body still hadn't processed that all of this happened. That after years of being silenced, humiliated, tested, I'd finally flipped the table. My phone started buzzing. Notifications, one after another. Family group chat blowing up. Messages from my mom, my sister, cousins asking, "Bro, what the hell was that?" Others laughing and sending clown emojis. I didn't reply to anyone. I stopped at a gas station, bought a water, and sat in the car staring at nothing. Sat there for about 40 minutes, engine off, head spinning. I wasn't sorry, but I was tired. So tired. Like all that silent war I'd fought my whole life had finally ended, but left me too weak to celebrate. The next day, I woke up to 23 missed calls, about 10 from my sister, 6 from my mom, the rest unknown numbers, probably him, calling from other people's phones. There were voice messages too, some calm, others full of anger. One he sent yelling, "You stole from me, ungrateful! I'm your father, this can't go unchecked. You'll regret this, you piece of shit." I didn't listen all the way through. Deleted it. Not because it didn't hurt. It did. But because I understood he wasn't surprised I did it. He was surprised because for the first time I had the guts to stand up for myself. And then the drama campaign began. My mom sent messages saying he was not well, that he wasn't eating, that he was talking about selling everything and disappearing, that he felt betrayed, that he didn't deserve this. And me? I just read. In silence. Because as much as it hurt, I knew if I replied, if I went back, if I gave an opening, it would all start again. And this time I swore I wouldn't let it. About 5 days later, I wrote a letter. Really wrote it by hand, like I needed to get it all out with no interruptions. I wrote with anger, with pain, with truth, and ended it like this. "I didn't take your house, Dad. I took away the pedestal you forced me to kneel on, and you fell all by yourself. Don't look for me. I'm just living what you always said I wouldn't. My own life." I folded it, put it in an envelope, and left it with my sister. Asked her to give it to him if he asked about me again. To this day, I don't know if he read it, or if he still lives in that house. But I know since that day, silence finally sided with me. And for the first time in my life, silence spoke louder than any scream.